Good evening and welcome to the Historic Preservation Commission's meeting for Monday, January the 9th, 2023. Welcome, everyone. Calling the meeting to order. First, we'll have the approval of the agenda. Are there any discussion, any additions or comments? All those in favor?
No, we need
A motion.
You got a motion?
I'll second it.
Second.
Did you?
No, I didn't, but I will.
Okay.
Yes, I'll move.
He already
I'll move.
seconded it.
Okay,
Move it
yes.
and second it. All right.
Approval. Do we all approve?
Right, now we all approved, right?
Aye.
Aye.
Boy,
I know.
I know, it's like I leave for a month and I'm lost.
Well, yeah,
Okay,
considering.
so- All right, so then we have approval of the December 12th minutes. I was not there on that one, but I had a chance to kind of look them over, see if there's anything.
So
Let's see.
Laura did a great job of a pretty complicated conversation. However, I have one correction or one thing if I said it was not correct. And it's on page 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 7th paragraph starts with Mr. Cheriton. Is that how you pronounce it?
Yes.
And it says it. I said that they do not want to give a false sense of history, and it discourages modern. I think I said encourages.
Oh, yes,
That's
I
what I
know.
meant to say.
Yes.
So that's it. Otherwise, it's very good.
No further corrections. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll move that we approve the minutes.
Okay,
Second.
second. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Okay, I kind of get into the second. Item 4 is our public forum. This time is set aside for public comment on topics of concern to the Historic Preservation Commission, other than those on the agenda. The chairperson may limit speakers to 5 minutes. Please understand that the commission is not likely to act on comments at this meeting due to the requirements of the Open Meetings Law, but may do so at future meetings. Do we have anyone here for the public forum? No? Okay, we'll move on. To item 5, we are considering the proposed nomination of the Cranford Apartment Building at 103 Stanton Avenue to the National Register of Historic Places. And staff, Ray? you
Yes.
got Something to jump in?
Yeah, I'll talk about that. You can see on the screen, that's the location of the Cranford Building. It's on the southwest corner of Lincoln Way and Stanton Avenue. It's 103 Stanton. And I'll put up a photo of the building itself. Really a nice looking building. And the state Historic Preservation Office has requested that the city review the request for this nomination for National Register eligibility. And the question to be answered by the commission is whether the nominated property meets the National Register criteria.
Mhm.
In this case, it's criterion A, which are those properties that are associated with events that have made a significant contribution to the broad patterns of our history. That's a criterion that's been selected, and the consultant that prepared the report is here this evening, and she can answer any questions you might have. Alexa McDowell. She's an architectural historian. And the owners of the property are here as well. Attached to your report is a section out of the nomination that's called the Statement of Significance kind of gives you a summary of why this building is significant and why it should be listed on the National Register of Historic Places. As staff, we recommend that the commission adopt alternative one, which would be a recommendation to the National Register for National Register eligibility. It'd be a recommendation to the State Nominations Review Committee. And they will meet on February 10th. After this evening, City Council will also have this on their agenda for January 24th. So it'll be a recommendation from the Historic Preservation Commission and then actually a recommendation from the mayor on the eligibility of this property under criterion A to be listed on the National Register. So with that, be happy to answer any questions you might have. We are to open it up for public comment as well. And as I mentioned, the architectural historian that prepared the nomination is here and the property owners are here.
Okay, thank you. Hope everybody's had a chance to read through it all and all the good stuff. It was very well written.
Yeah.
I should state that my son lives in the building.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
Enjoy living in the building, and I sign on the lease of that building, so I probably should recuse myself of the vote. But just wanted to state that up front. And he enjoys living there.
so how's it look on the inside?
It's very nice.
Yes, if you would please, yeah, introduce yourself to us. And
I'm Alexa McDowell. I have a architectural consulting firm, 8K Consulting. You reviewed a nomination I did not too long ago, the Pi Kappa Alpha House. So we've touched a little bit that way. You asked about the interior. So the first floor of the building has been rehabilitated multiple times. The upper stories are largely intact, double loaded corridors, efficiency 1 and 2 bedroom units. They were pretty spare at the time that they were constructed, and they remain that way. They did use Murphy bed or Murphy type in-wall beds, and the beds have been removed, but the recesses remain intact. So there's a sense of what that was, those arrangements were like. The alterations that really impact both exterior and interior is a replacement of the windows. And you'd be happy to know that part of the rehabilitation plan is to reinstall period sympathetic windows, which follow the Secretary standards and guidelines. And we have photographs. So we're really, we have the information that we need to be able to provide a window that's going to work. And on the back, which would be the south elevation, there are those 2 box bays that extend from the 3rd and 4th floors, 2nd and 3rd floors, 3rd and 4th floor, excuse me. And those windows have all been closed. And so from the interior, the experience of those units will be considerably different because the sides will have windows in them again. So all in all, the interiors has a nice high degree of historic integrity, generally speaking.
thank you. Does anyone have any questions of Alexa?
I'd be interested in knowing if you folks were aware of the history of this building related to Alda Wilson. And yeah, that it's interesting because there was a lot of thread pulling and unraveling. And so I'm glad that information is now available because I think it was a really interesting and important history to be out
I really
there. So
enjoyed reading the history.
good. I'm glad
And
to hear
what's
that.
shocking is what a short time ago
Yeah.
you see this one woman, the first woman graduated and this sort of thing. But I really enjoyed reading it.
One of the things that surprised me and the State Historic Preservation Office did a really good job of reviewing this and pushing the story to get bigger because we were concerned about the historic integrity and making sure that the case under criterion A was solid. And so they pushed to get deeper in that, into making that case. And I'm old enough, I should have known this, but the idea that a woman could not apply for a loan or a credit card that recently. Was it 1975? That's shocking. So I really enjoyed it too. So I'm glad you did. And so did our owners. Rena is very really interested in the history of all the Wilson and the women that were involved in developing that project. So that makes it extra special.
Would you mind introducing us to the?
This is Rena and Dick Hall. They are the owners of the building. This is Nate Welty. He is the building manager and handles all kinds of things from what I know for the hall. So yeah, there's been some in this cold weather, some
Oh,
damage. Maybe your son.
Haven't heard a thing.
Yeah. Anything else that I can answer for you?
well, I have no questions. Like I said, I enjoyed reading about
Yeah,
it myself.
I have one question.
Sure.
Is the nomination so that the designation will allow for the use of the tax credits?
Yes. Yes.
And is
Exactly.
it federal and state
Yes,
tax
ma'am.
credits?
Mhm.
Okay.
And so there's been a team of people on the project, an architect, a contractor, and myself, a historian, and we've submitted the Part 2 application. It's been in since December 15th, so it's in the review queue. The state, they'll have it for a couple months, then it goes up to the National Park Service. And if you know that process at all, preliminarily, there's a conversation with the State Historic Preservation Office. So the project team explains what the intentions are about the rehabilitation so that there can be, if there's any red flags in terms of the state saying, I'm not sure whether that's going to be an appropriate treatment. So we did that a month ago and there were no red flags. So we feel confident that the proposed treatments are going to be acceptable.
Very good.
Anything else? Thank you.
Thank you. So I guess, Ray, what our thing is now is that we review the nomination according to this letter during our meeting. Then the commission is asked to answer whether we feel the nominated property meets the Register of I cannot talk anymore. National Register of Historic Places criteria for significance and integrity as to criterion A, which is what I believe you are submitting it under. So, discussion. How do you all feel? Does this?
And I have a question
Mhm.
of Ray. Is it best for us just to make our recommendation for signing the paper? Should we also make a recommendation that the city council approve the listing?
No, your recommendation is just back
Separate.
to the state,
Okay,
not to the council.
okay.
That's a good question, though.
Rick, oh, sorry, go ahead. Can you differentiate what you said earlier about alternative one versus what the other would have been? I don't have the thing in front of me right here. You said you recommended alternative one, which would be X.
Right.
Yeah, the Historic Preservation finds that the nomination of the Cranford Apartment Building to the National Register of Historic Places meets National Register significance criterion A and recommends National Register eligibility to the State Nominations Review Committee. Yeah, it's to the committee, not to the council.
Right.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll make a motion and then we can have a discussion.
Sounds good.
Okay, I move that the commission approve the nomination for listing in the National Register of Historic Places.
Under criterion A.
I don't want to
Okay.
put that in the motion.
Gotcha. Okay. So we have a motion to approve submission as a National Register nomination for historic places. Any discussion?
So I don't know that Ray explained, I think he sent you the form.
Yeah.
And it just requires a signature of the chair of the commission and the council. and then a
So all we need to
historic
do
preservation
is,
professional. So, and that's what the form says, and that that the commission recommends listing in the
okay.
National Register.
So do we have a motion we have a motion? Is there
Need a second?
approval?
No, we need a second.
I
Second?
think there wasn't a second, actually.
I'll second.
All right, a second. Then open for discussion.
Yes, why not include the criterion A in the motion?
Well, it's not requested, for one thing. And the criteria, the four criteria are really decided by professionals and we don't really have that collection of knowledge that we should be, and it could change in the process because once it goes to the state and they make a recommendation, the keeper of the register still reviews it. So there's a possibility that the criteria it's not likely, but it can be, have some technical issues that we might not be aware of. So that's the reasoning.
Well, let's see here. Any further comments?
Is that correct? You've had experience with, okay.
So to be sure,
The motion is to,
just to accept it
approve.
as
no, to approve the nomination of the Cranford Building,
submission.
apartment building for listing in the National Register.
only.
Mhm.
So that's the motion on the table. And it was
Can be
seconded.
seconded, yeah.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, approved and seconded, and that we would proceed with the nomination for the National Register for the Cranford Apartment Building. Does that meet all of the criteria you need, Ray? And then we'll go to the
I'm-
council?
I'm not sure. Because what it says is the question for the Historic Preservation Commission to answer when reviewing the nomination is whether the nominated property meets the National Register of Historic Places criteria for significance and integrity.
That's what I read in the letter.
Yeah.
And they-
Well, I think we're saying we do by approving.
By
it.
approving it,
Mhm.
that's
They,
what you-
and you're not really approving it, you're recommending
exactly.
know,
Recommending it.
that the State Nominations Review Committee, you're recommending that
That was
that
the
it
motion.
meets the National Register's
Criteria
significance
A.
criterion A.
If the commission feels
it's
the
eligible.
property and the nomination meets the criteria.
Mhm.
That's specifically A is what they're asking about.
That's specifically A.
Yeah, but
I understand your reasoning, but they're asking us as the locals, right?
This is what the state sent, right?
I think you have to go by what they have provided to you, you know, that it's criterion A, and whether you think it meets A or not.
okay.
I mean, I
whatever-
understand your reasoning, but
Yeah,
they said what they said.
but what they want is that form.
All right, and we have to check a box.
And we have to check a box, and we are charged with recommending approval or denying it as it's presented, and the nomination clearly states it's criterion A. So we are approving that nomination
Right.
and recommending that it be approved for listing in the National Register.
Let me ask the commission as a whole. Do you feel that that covers what you, oh yeah, you're out of the,
So
sorry.
Yeah.
criterion A seems to be the reason why it's being nominated. There's no other, not B, C, or D. I mean, you can't. So I don't know. I believe
I don't disagree with it meeting criterion A.
I just
I
feel
don't
like,
either.
Right,
I don't
so-
either. I agree with the nomination. It's in its entirety. I think it's very
All this
well
is asking
written.
for is for you to check the box.
right.
Anyway, whatever the commission's comfortable with, that's my suggestion. and
Well-
my motion. So
And the motion was in, and the motion was approved. So
Check the box.
I will be checking the box. And it will go to council for the mayor to do his.
So, what was the motion then?
The motion, as I understand it, let me see if I can get it,
right,
is
that the commission recommend approval of the Cranford apartment building for listing in the National Register of Historic Places. And we're approving the nomination, which says it's eligible under criterion A.
we're just not specifically saying in the motion that it's A, but the form will be forwarding based on the information before us would be that it is under A.
Yeah, I haven't seen it done this way before. On all the other ones we've had. So, we've always taken it that we are to respond to the criteria that was selected, and answer back whether the commission recommends the nomination, based on that criteria, A, in this case.
Okay,
Would you want
I'll
to
restate a motion.
restate your motion? Yeah.
The motion will be what staff recommended.
Which is that.
Alternative one.
Alternative
One.
one, yeah.
Okay. So we have a motion. Is there any second that we follow alternative one? Any second?
I'll second.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No.
Okay. So the ayes have it. But then we'll,
We have to make a
Complete.
motion to vacate the first motion. Do you know? Is that required? We made two motions.
we just,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
it's a simplified
Okay.
version.
All right.
So we'll complete the form then after the end of the meeting. Okay. All right. Thank you all for coming and presenting. I appreciate it. We look forward to see what the progress of this. Right. Sounds good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, so we're on item 6. Discuss the 2022 Certified Local Government Annual Report. And I think that was part of the packet. So this is the final report for 2022, right?
So I'll take the lead in introducing the item. Every
Thank
year or in most recent years, as far as I'm aware, the CLG grant requirements that we include as attachment A have come back to you for your review of the successes and challenges, as well as the work plan for your editing And then the same information will go to the city council because the mayor has to sign a form. And as part of the CLG grant, it requires the commission to update the council on activities. And this is one way it's done. So let's just start with item 8.1. And I'm not going to read any of this. I just will open it up for discussion if there's any edits under 8.1.
I didn't see anything to comment on.
All right.
Looks good.
Okay, let's move on then to 8.2. Okay.
It looks good, I think.
Mhm.
I don't see any problem.
Okay. 8.3.
I have, that is Historic Preservation Commission's efforts to educate. It's not what they receive. So I think the last two bullets probably need to be under accomplishments or successes, maybe. I'm not sure. I mean, clearly the neighborhood meeting was a public education program,
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Oh, okay.
but our education I think would come under successes and challenges, which is under 18 or something, I think.
Is there consensus to take the last two bullets off of 8.3?
Yeah.
And move them to 18. Progress and initiatives. Is that what you think?
I'm happy with that.
Okay,
I'm
Yeah.
fine with that.
so we'll take the last two bullets off and move them under the 18 somewhere.
Yeah. And
Oh, all right, and so we're on number 9.
I have one other thing.
Oh,
And Rosemary might have done a Zoom attending a meeting of the National Alliance of Preservation Commissions camp workshop. It was in somewhere around Cedar Rapids.
Thank you for giving me credit, but I didn't.
Well, you were going to, I think, and I couldn't remember.
Yeah.
But I attended that by Zoom, and the city paid for my attendance for that. So that needs to be added, as well as the summit.
and that would also be under 18, right?
That's on it.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay,
It would then be added to.
yeah, and I do remember that. And I thought I had it in here, but apparently I don't then. Okay. All right, number 9.
Okay. Oh, wait a minute. It should be under number 9, not 18.
So the two bullets.
Those two bullets should be moved to under 9 instead of 18.
Is there consensus with that to move it under number 9 under successes?
Under successes, yeah, that would be fine.
All right. I know Mary Jo had some, did everybody get this printout?
I gave everyone a copy of that. So I gave you a copy of a paper that I would like for the public record and to be included in the annual report. I think this, what I've written, presents an accurate and a more appropriate narrative than that offered by staff in the CLG annual report. Specifically, item number 9 asks the HPC to identify the issues, challenges, and successes of the past year. The statement under successes, I think, is okay, but I think it needs to recognize that the award of the $14,000 was the second largest grant awarded in the state's program that year. And I think it needs to mention that the approved grant application specified project management by members of the HPC, led by Mary Jo Winder, grant preparers, specified project manager, and experienced historic preservation professional. HPC and staff participation provided more than the required 40% in-kind match to the grant award. And another success was presentation of the survey project to property owners and interested parties at a well-attended public meeting. Again, this was addressed in staff's report, but I think the added information is maybe helpful. And that information was provided by one of the student research assistants, HPC members, and staff, and it included the process and procedure for nomination of the district to the National Register of Historic Places. Under challenges.
Can I ask a question there?
Sure.
On theirs, they have, I'm assuming these would replace the first 2 bullets under number 9, but leaving the 3rd bullet of where it says it.
Well, right. I'm suggesting that under successes that it appear like this. I'm just suggesting that as an alternative.
And totally get it. On theirs, they have a bullet 1, bullet 2, and then they have additionally, and they have 4 bullets under that. So I'm assuming you want to replace this bullet and this bullet with the new copy and leave additionally
Okay.
for the remainder of the report. Or are you proposing to remove those?
No, it would just replace
Bullet 1 and bullet 2.
or the first 2 bullets.
Okay.
Yeah. Mhm.
Thank you.
Yes. And then the others would remain. And under challenges, although the grant application presented specifics on management and methodology for completing the CLG grant project for the intensive level survey of the Chautauqua Park Ridgewood District, several obstacles presented by Ames City staff interfered with the efficient and competent completion of the project as it was specified in the grant application. Events that affected the activities required for completion of a high-quality survey were the city staff failed to recognize the unique situation of providing an opportunity for college students as research assistants to participate in and learn the basic skills of a historic preservation project. Staff insisted, with no compromise allowed, on hiring the students as city employee interns, thus depriving them of the experience that the project proposal intended. They were also responsible for delaying advertising the positions. They conducted irrelevant interviews, and they're responsible for making it difficult for the students to conduct required field and research activities and failing to provide an adequate work environment for the students. Because of the city staff's insistence on controlling the work hours and activities of the students, one student, a candidate for a PhD in history, became agitated with the conditions of his work environment, thus leading to a personality conflict and ultimate firing by the director of planning. As project manager, Ms. Winder sought to provide a remedy which the staff flat out rejected. Because of this, Ms. Winder withdrew as a participant as it was obvious that her role as project manager was not recognized by staff. Project management beyond that point was the responsibility of city staff. Although the intensive level survey project was completed, the quality of the final product has suffered, and the objective of providing 2 to 3 students an opportunity for training in historic preservation project by a qualified professional was not achieved. The challenges presented in this situation will be a major consideration in any future CLG grant applications.
I'm happy to offer a response when it's appropriate.
Does anyone have any questions? This is a proposed addendum to the report.
An addendum, not a replacement.
That's a question I would like to ask
See,
staff.
My statement is for the record. How it's done is not important to me. I just wanted to provide that information.
I appreciate this new information for me. I was not aware of these type of things that were going on. And I don't know if it's because I missed a couple meetings.
Nothing's been said about it before.
For me, this sounds like something that it appears that you want to be on the record as it is. My question is, what's the appropriateness of this, and what would be your response to that coming back from the city?
My response is that this project would have died flat if we had not been able to proceed as hiring the students as city employees, although that was not anticipated by anybody at the get-go. That was the only way to accomplish to have the students as employees. It was the only way to proceed was to follow the protocol of city hiring procedures, which included describing the position and advertising it, and interviewing the students and hiring the students according to city protocol. It was furthermore necessary that I, as city employee, represent the city in the grant, but the intent was always to have the HPC involved in managing the quality control and managing the historic preservation aspect of the materials because of the expertise of the individuals who had initially indicated they would be involved. I do not agree with the way the challenges are in the terminology used in their challenges to say, I really don't agree with any of it. There was a problem with one of the students. That's the HR situation. I'm not going to get into the details of that. But as a result, there was actually an ultimatum given by Mary Jo that she would not be involved in the project if the student was terminated. At that point in time, he had been terminated, and so she withdrew her support and professional involvement in the project. And Susan stepped up to the plate to help provide editing and review of the documents. And this was all in late September, before the neighborhood meeting. And many hours were spent by Susan and myself getting this project completed and submitted to the state. I can tell you that it would not have been good for anybody if this project had not been completed. And the one sentence I do agree with is the last sentence, that the challenges presented in this situation will be a major consideration in any future CLG grant applications. From the standpoint of the city, I don't think it will ever be done this way again, because it was not anticipated that city staff would be contributing any time to the project. And when I calculated my hours of involvement, my hours equate to about $18,000 in time on the project. I do not have the same expertise that the professionals, Susan, Mary Jo, and Ted, have. And it was a loss to not have Mary Jo involved. But I would not say that the quality of the final product suffered in any way at that point, because it was all of the training had been done and the input to the researchers, and it was just a matter of getting it finished and following what was required by the state. One of the things, I don't know if you had time to read through everything, but one of the things was initially it was anticipated that there would not be more than 104 site inventory forms prepared. And actually, because of pretty early on, the students recognized that the area should extend further and include 150 properties. Well, that's half again more. And that half again more took a lot more time that was anticipated. I think it was the right decision, but it was substantially more time. But we had several obstacles also with the SHPO forms and so forth. Anybody that's a consultant knows there's a saying that the last 10% takes 90% of the time. And I guess it's just because there's so many I's to dot and T's to cross, and you run into all kinds of editing and formatting problems and so forth. But I'm happy to report that it's been submitted to the state. So as far as successes, I do agree that it would be good to mention the $14,000. And I think that it can be, that part can be added. But I do not agree with the part on the challenges. I think that if Mary Jo wants to come on the 24th and present something different to the city council, I wouldn't advise it, but I think she could do that if she wants to. That would be my position.
So is this a document that's representing what what we've accomplished, or
Yes.
partly with what the city's accomplished?
It's representing what has been accomplished for historic preservation, primarily through you, but we've also included in the document when the council has funded the Ames History Museum, and we have indicated all of those things that really haven't had anything to do with the HPC, but it furthers historic preservation. And so we have claimed those things as part of the efforts for the year. So that's how I would answer. Do you have anything different to say?
Well, the city of Ames is the certified local government. the city of Ames has been designated certified local government, which includes Historic Preservation Commission, but, it includes the city organization. So, the state designates by community or by county.
Right. A CLG has to meet certain requirements, a CLG agreement. The city, and of course, the city council or the governing body has to participate in that as
Sure.
well.
Yep.
So, so I want to just clarify one thing on the number of properties of inventory forms that were completed, which if I had been on the project, it would not have happened. There were forms completed for non-contributing buildings that you should not have spent time on that. It wasn't necessary, and it took a lot of time. The descriptions took a lot of time, and the individual inventory forms for each property took a lot of time. So that 150 inventory forms was not necessary. That was extra work.
And
So-
that work was primarily done in August and then edited in September. The work on the forms when you were involved. You were still involved at that
Yes,
point.
I know that.
Okay.
I know. I know that. And it was that the way the work was submitted, it was very difficult for me to manage the project. I had the only access I had to the students was through a weekly meeting. I was not comfortable coming to the city and assisting and training the students other than those scheduled meetings. I think from the get-go, I was not really considered as the true project manager of that. I think city staff took over from the beginning, and it was not as it was intended, and it really interfered with my ability to train the students. And I can tell you it caused me undue stress, and firing one of the students was I just couldn't take any more of the stress. I had to quit. And Yeah.
I just have
Yeah.
one question, more clarification than anything, I think. Sorry, was it not possible? You talked about hiring these students as city employees. Is there no other way to just take them on as consultants or like a 1099 individual type thing? Does that not happen with the city of Ames?
The choice is if you hire a consultant, you have to put out an RFP and then people respond through the RFP. That's the state's way of handling consultants.
So is the issue just the amount of time or the fact that why not do that instead of hire? It sounds like hiring them as
The
city
students, I
employees.
don't think, would have been in a position to come on as professional consultants.
Okay. And there's no other way to have them as just a grant recipient type half
Apparently, there was not.
person.
We tried to.
I think
pursue
there
that.
I think there would have been, but the human resources staff pretty much just shut down any
Gotcha.
kind of discussion on an alternative.
Okay.
And
Which I
that's-
think in
that's
turn caused the conflict. I think the city's protocol for how to hire and through the hiring process that they have to go, equal opportunity, those kind of things, posting the job, doing everything they have to do for the city rules, caused the conflict and the delay that you're indicating within this. And they had to treat them then as employees and follow certain guidelines, which caused the termination of an employee, is that the safe summary?
The termination was a different issue.
Okay. Well, I'm assuming the termination was run through the HR
Yes,
department, which then
yes.
broke protocol that they would have to
Yes.
say,
Right.
yes,
Correct.
termination
Right.
had to occur.
Right, because they were employees,
and
they
city
were
employees.
allowed to do that. And
Correct.
The intent of the project to begin with was for the commission to have responsibility for the selection and the training of the students. And we were not allowed to do that.
Yeah.
The commission really lost control of the project.
And what I'm I'm being very objective in the conversation as I read of the challenges that were written here and the challenges that are written there. There seems to be that same conflict that's taking place, and maybe an objective just type of language of, because that's what I would agree to. I would take out the conflict and I would say, here are the facts that took place. The facts that took place, the city, the employees had to be hired through the city, which required hiring processes that are required for city employees, anybody that's hired, which caused a little bit more of a protocol delay. And in that delay, delayed the project timeline. And then on top of that, had set certain guidelines for each employee, which then relinquished some control from the commission. To me, those are the facts that led to the conflict, and that's the challenge.
I think that I mean, Mary Jo has every right to
Yep.
to write what she wants to write and feel what she wants to feel. I frankly am not particularly comfortable with the way. I wonder if it would be better for, which is kind of I think what you're getting at, but maybe just a different word, that the emphasis is on what do we need to learn from this. Obviously things went wrong. The commission was not brought in. Perhaps the commission should have been brought in sooner in terms of some of these problems. I had heard a little bit unofficially, but it seems to me the emphasis needs to be, what can we learn from this and how can this not happen again? It obviously has been unfortunate. And I'm very sorry that you've had so much
Yeah.
stress and that and Susan, I know I talked to Susan when she was putting in all those hours, and that you've had to have the stress and the hours. I mean, the whole thing just obviously unraveled. In spite of that, there was this terrific neighborhood meeting.
Yes.
Mhm.
I mean, that's what we saw. And so to me,
Mhm.
I agree that there are challenges, which I think I've kind of stated. And I think if we want to state something we can learn from, absolutely. And the success of that throughout the challenge was a great neighborhood meeting that everybody seemed to be excited about.
So just for informational purposes, so probably you don't know, but when we were doing the interview process, we had to write a job description. And so I worked on that and I got input from Mary Jo on that. And then when we were doing the hiring, we had the interview process and it just happened to fall when both Mary Jo and I were not available. And Susan represented the HPC during the interviewing process. So there basically was a city staff person, the HR person who also was city staff, city planner, I should say, HR person, and Susan. So there were three people doing the interviewing, and then they made the selection. Just so you know what that protocol was.
The difficulty when I was doing that part, and I think was alluded to in here, was that although we were representative, sometimes as a person who was on the grant proposal, we weren't allowed as full of involvement as we were anticipating, like maybe preparing some of the interview questions and things like that. I was allowed one question. That was it. And and it was and I couldn't ask it. It had to be asked by the HR person. So it was a learning process
Mhm.
in many ways. But
Yeah.
I think
And I included that in my statement because I think that's important. I think the fact that it was a commission project, that the city staff who had no knowledge of what we were doing took over an interview that I know discouraged one applicant
applicant,
because he
but-
couldn't work the 8 to 5. He had
He
another
couldn't
job
respond.
and student activities, and it was impossible. And it was not convenient for the other, at least the one of the other students either, to be on that schedule. And it was not necessary. It was just, it was something. I mean, the whole objective was not only to teach the methods and technical aspects of preparing a project like that, but working on their own and managing their time and doing it, being able to have the flexibility to work on their own time and manage their own time. They weren't undergraduate students who needed to be sat down at a desk in front of a computer and instructed what to do and carry out an activity. It was a totally different type of a situation that the human resources just did not want to understand. So
But that's the reality, obviously, for
It
the
is.
city. I mean, the city
It
staff obviously have to work through that
Yeah, yes,
system.
and the intent was never for Eloise or any of the staff to have to spend any time on the project at all. And Susan's was specified for a very short amount of time for matching the contribution. And it was intended that I would be managing the project. And I just think I agree that it's a learning process, and I don't want to cause a lot of trouble, but I do think that Eloise is wrong in stating that she doesn't agree with it. But I don't think I've written anything that's false. And I just, I would like it is a learning experience. However, I'm afraid we will never have another CLG grant opportunity again. And that it was as important and should have had a positive impact on the city. And it's very disappointing that I put all that effort into doing something good for the city of Ames, which is my hometown, and have such a disastrous outcome. It's pretty devastating.
May I ask the staff a question here? Because the city is the CLG and the council has the agreement with the state for the certified local government. So as basically the arm of the staff for the city council, you all have to write the reports. But can we, as the commission that is created for this certified local government ordinance, can we have commission comments added to the report as an addendum? I mean, I don't know how we could, I don't supplant what staff has to prepare for the annual report. But as a commission, can we make a recommendation to have additional information added to the report, such as what Mary Jo has submitted? Does that make?
I think it's appropriate to edit what staff has prepared in some cases, but I think getting back to it being based on fact, not based on opinion or perception or, trying to take words that would have
So you feel that we
emotion
shouldn't have
attached to
competing
them.
information is
I-
what you're
That would be what I would say. And I do think that the dismissal of the student was not based on a personality conflict. That was not the issue. It wasn't. But I understand from Mary Jo's perspective, that's what she believes. She's writing what she believes. I would say I cannot, in good conscience, accept what she has summarized as the challenges as being something that I would feel appropriate putting in our report. I think, if anything, talking about future opportunities with the state, you want to shoot yourself in the foot, I mean, we do want to recognize things that were awkward or that where we can learn from them and do better in the future or whatever. And so, of course, in the report, I've tried to do that, but of course, it's from my perspective, so it may not be. It's appropriate to edit it where it needs to be edited. So I would, if there's things that you direct as a commission to be changed, then, I will change those things. The director will read it before it goes to council, because we also, if council is approving it, which that's what they're asked to do, is also approve it.
Right.
They're not going to want to approve something that they don't agree with from their perspective.
Because the report.
And their perspective is not going to be your perspective. It's
Right.
going to be a different
The
perspective.
report goes to the state actually from the city council.
The city
basically,
council
they
is
are-
asked to approve the report
Exactly.
and to approve your work plan.
Right.
That's how it's worded in the agenda.
So let me ask this. Can Mary Jo's comments be as a letter that goes with the report?
I think Mary Jo can send a letter to the city council if she feels inclined to do that. They receive communications all the time from various people. As a matter of fact, what you probably may or may not know is that our student that was dismissed did fire off a letter to the city council. I think he thought he was writing to you, I'm not sure, but it was sent to them. So
Right.
they did receive that from him. But they get all kinds of communication, so anybody can communicate directly with the city council on any topic. But as far as one thing was Mary Jo you had said that you didn't want anything to do with the project when you withdrew. You wanted your name removed. You didn't want anything to do with it, and didn't want your name on there. And yes, you did spend a lot of time preparing the grant and got the grant to be, I think the emphasis in even getting the idea of a grant going with the commission and then submitting it to the state. So you did spend a lot of time on all that. But you had said you didn't want your name associated.
I did not say that. That is not correct.
That's what I understood. All right, if you didn't
I
say
did
that, then
not
I
say-
apologize. That's what I
I just said that I can no longer work on the project, is what I said.
So I think, did you contact the state
I did.
after that?
I contacted the state.
And what was
told
the-
them that I would not be project manager because of the conflict and that I was not able to.
And what was the intention of contacting the state?
Because I was not project manager on the grant, and I needed to let them know that I was no longer project manager because I was the one responsible for the product. And I think they needed to know that I was not. So, I don't want to talk anything more about that, but if Matt or someone on the commission wants to look at my comments and make it so the commission is comfortable and staff is comfortable with presenting the facts, because granted, I've stated this in my way, but they are all facts. There's nothing that is an opinion. And other than the fact that I think the project didn't come out the way it should have, that's my opinion. So that if that's, if the commission feels something needs to be added, then that's fine with me. I don't, my comments specifically are not important to me. And Rosemary, I agree. I just think we need, it's an experience we need to learn from and figure out how we do things better the next time if we have another opportunity.
I don't quite agree with what you're saying. It's all facts. It's not opinion. City staff failed to recognize the unique situation of providing an opportunity for college students and the rest of that.
Mhm.
That seems to me not a fact necessarily. It's your perception. It
Okay.
does seem to me.
All right. Okay.
And I think what you'll see is, and I'm happy to take a stab and kind of summarize and put different words, and maybe even the notes that are being taken can help in that conversation and run it by the group. My question would be, when does this need to be finalized for the annual report to be given to the city?
It will go to the city council for their meeting on the 24th, and our agenda to them is due the week before that.
And so are we allowed to rewrite and give you that in between then, or do we have to come together as a commission and agree upon it?
I think my opinion, and then Ray, please give your opinion and expertise. My opinion would be if the council wants to direct you, Matt, to prepare something to amend this, if the commission supports that activity, that can be their recommendation of approval. Like the approval could be based on what has been discussed plus that extra narrative, if they want that to be the case, or otherwise, if they want to decide, if the consensus is to decide something else tonight. But we need direction from the commission, not
Sure.
just a couple of people deciding what to do.
So can I propose something?
Yes, please.
I'm assuming that you let me know. First two bullets under successes. We have a new copy that's available here. Do you have any concerns with the new copy for successes? Under the first two bullets.
The one thing I would say is that the successes does not mention the 150 properties that were surveyed. It doesn't mention that number, but I do think it's good to add the grant award amount. Because
Okay.
part of this becomes kind of a historical record for the commission as well, what was done in the past or so
So
forth.
from that comment, it tells me that we probably need to combine the two a little bit, the first two bullets, and then the additionally section. Is any concerns in that one?
The which one?
Additionally. So not here, it's on theirs.
Says,
Oh, right. Yeah.
They have
yeah, yeah.
additionally that
Sub-
wasn't addressed,
it
so I want to
says-
make sure that those are okay. So it looks like we'll be rewriting bullet 1 and bullet 2, and then challenges rewritten.
right.
And I'd be happy to take a stab at those. And so I propose that to the group, and then you guys can decide if you want that to be the case.
I'd like to propose an amendment to your motion.
Sure.
Is that I know you feel strongly about this, Mary Jo, and I really would like you to submit, for Matt to summarize, but to have you submit a letter to a company. Because I think that we can rearrange and compress, but if you feel strongly enough that it's not, the full picture is not there, then I really feel like the council needs to have a separate letter, because I do know that during this whole situation, letters were written to the council that were not, although it had the commission's name on it, you all didn't receive it, but it did go to the council. And it was quite a hot mess, to be honest with you. So
So you want me to create another
I
hot
think
mess?
no. I think another perspective though needs to be added from somebody who was part of the project. Okay. I mean, I agree. For the report, we have to keep the report as plain vanilla as, you know, this
Right.
factual. But I think that you bring up some things that maybe bring a conclusion or kind of close the picture that of what all was going on at that time, because I think people were kind of hit between the eyes.
Yeah. Well, I know everybody suffered.
So I would
I
like
know
to
that.
formally accept the motion of Matt about rewriting the bullet points, and then with a further recommendation that a letter accompany from Mary Jo to go with.
Is that letter from Mary Jo or the commission?
Well,
I would like it to be from the commission. I don't think I should have to stick my neck out to the city council for this. I think the commission needs to become more proactive. I hope that I am helping that along since I've been on the commission, and because I do have the knowledge. I'm proud that I have the knowledge that I do. And I am proud to be back in Ames and be able to contribute. But I don't want to be the only one that's doing it. I think it's important for the commission to learn what historic preservation truly is in as many aspects as possible. And I hope I can provide that. But I do not want to stand out alone. I'm not. I would be glad to write up a letter that accompanies it, but I would like it to be from the commission.
Well, then there would have to be a vote, because
And there would have to be a vote.
I
yes.
hear what you're saying. You come with a body of knowledge that I certainly don't have, fumbled my way onto the commission. But there's an emotion and a rather vengeful feel about this that in no
Yeah,
way
yeah,
would I
I-
sign
I-
on to. But
I
I
agree with
recognize
that.
your ability, your right to feel it.
Yes. And I don't appreciate your condescending reference to mine.
Okay.
I have,
It wasn't meant to be condescending.
Well,
It's
it
absolutely
was.
true. No, well,
It
okay.
was.
I
So-
hear you say it was condescending. I apologize. I truly meant it sincerely.
Mhm.
That's just my.
so we have an amended motion on the floor.
I
Sort of.
don't think there's a motion.
Well, Matt
It's a-
began a motion.
I think he was just stating he would do it.
All right.
before we
Sorry.
get that far, I have
Before we get
opinion.
that far.
I have opinions, but I have to recuse myself because I know I'm in the same program as that student. So I hereby recuse myself from whatever happens.
Okay.
Okay, everybody else has to
Further
step up?
comment or nothing? So do we need, I'm thinking for the commission to proceed, we do need a motion for an action.
I'm going to only motion for replacing the bullets that I've mentioned,
Right.
which are the first two, and redo the challenges, and I'll submit them back to the group. I think the letter has to be separate and a different conversation.
Acceptable? A second?
I'll second Matt's motion.
All those in favor? Any further discussion, I guess?
I've got a question.
Sure.
Okay, with the work he's gonna do and getting it back to the group, how's the group, how are we gonna know that the group does or doesn't?
We're gonna have
Fourth
to, because of this time frame, we're gonna have to operate. I know you guys have to get it to the council agenda, what, next week? By, what is it, Wednesday or something like that, or?
We're gonna have to
Always
agree
have to-
via email.
Yeah, we're gonna have to do it by
Yeah,
email.
Yeah, I think we can do that.
We'll have
Can that
to
be
do it
part of
by
the motion,
email.
right?
And vote through email, or just say,
Is it legitimate?
Yeah, I'm not sure how that works. Without the commission
Present.
meeting and voting.
can we, as part of the motion would it be acceptable for him to say, I would do this and distribute it, through the staff would have to distribute, he would provide the information to the staff. Staff would distribute it to the commission in order to meet the deadline to the commission members, and we would have to vote by a certain time in order for you to say, we've got the information, it's accepted, and get into the agenda for the council. All right.
I don't know the answer to that.
How does that meet open?
I'm not sure.
Well, I don't know,
that.
it doesn't.
But it.
That was my
Mary
initial
Jo's writing a
question.
letter with the other stuff. We could, I don't want to say it out loud, but we could almost like hammer it out now. It's not that much left once you take out the other.
You want to do that?
It sounds like the only legitimate option.
Yep.
Okay.
Sorry, but
So Matt, do you want to withdraw your motion? And
Yeah, let's do it.
let's just. Give it a,
Well, and how do you want to do this?
I don't know.
well, I'm thinking, why don't we start with the successes part, right? And there were 2 paragraphs in Mary Jo's that brought in some new information on the successes that could be integrated into that first.
I think the only thing we really wanted to see in that first paragraph
Is
was
the
just
money.
Just to add the
addition.
money, yeah.
So you could say
Mon-
the survey was funded through a CLG grant in the amount of $14,000, the second largest grant award in the state in 2021 annual program, comma, and in-kind donation. That's all you have to do is just add that one phrase.
Agreed.
Hmm.
So as we're doing this, do you want to make the edits from the copy just directly like we normally do? And then we'll take those edits and go forward?
Yes.
Okay. So did you want to repeat those for her?
To make me do it all
Yep.
over again? Oh my God, please. Okay, second sentence. The survey was funded through a CLG grant, comma,
Right.
or perhaps comma, in the amount of $14,000. No, comma. The survey was funded through a CLG grant in the amount of $14,000, comma, the second largest grant awarded in the state's 2021 annual program, comma, and in-kind donation of volunteer hours, period. I think that achieves what we really wanted to see there. I think the second bullet point in the existing is fine as is. I don't see it as that radically different than what Mary Jo had under successes, unless somebody else has a different opinion.
Yep.
Now, under challenges, I was
Before we get there, there was some mention of including the number 150 in the successes. We want to
And
include that.
was already in the existing, so that's
Okay,
where I was
that's
just
already-
leaving the existing as is with the addition of that one phrase.
Sorry, I didn't catch that.
That's okay.
Thank you.
Under challenges, I mean, one of the things that we could do here is break a strict law that I think Jesse would understand. Is we kind of go into a little bit of passive tense. That instead of having language that is, I don't want to say emotional, a little more direct, could be slightly more indirect, and just acknowledge that there was a misunderstanding of what was going to happen. There were certain protocols that we had to follow as far as the state goes, because one of the other things that, if I recall correctly, one of the reasons why we wanted to use students was not only to give them this opportunity, but there were budgetary reasons.
Correct.
If we would have gone out to bid, RFP to a consulting fee or consultants, we wouldn't have had enough money from the grant. I don't know.
Yeah, that's not relevant to this, to put in the report.
Well, it's saying that that's one of the reasons why we chose to go the student route.
No, that wasn't the reason we did. And that's not correct. You know, the state has been at the summit, they were talking about getting more people, more professionals involved in getting students. And one reason that we put that in the grant was so that we could get, provide some action on that.
I stand corrected.
Yeah.
Can we go back? I know I summarized it once earlier in the meeting, and I know you're taking copious notes over there. And so I'm wondering if we can go back to when I did summarize that and start off at that point and kind of go from there. Because it was a much shorter version of all of this, but to me it spoke to exactly what was going on. So I don't know if you were really good at that.
It was a good sign.
I wish I could do it again, but I don't think I could.
I think it was right at the beginning of
I know.
this section of the meeting, which was at 3 hours ago.
That was going to be my fallback. Just go back to the
I
recording.
know.
Okay.
What are your summed up comments? What?
Yeah, it was a trigger there.
Give us a trigger, yeah.
No, it
That was
was
the successes. wasn't
successes,
it?
then after
Yeah.
that, challenges. The challenges really occurred in the hiring process.
Yeah. Where you stated it's kind of like the conflict from HR protocol. And then we talked about Eloise wrote to address the same thing that Ms. Wigan had said, it's not actual language.
I would say in general, due to HR protocols with the city, expectations of management of the project and how individual students would be hired were unclear and had to be managed differently. due to these conflicts, the outcome of the project was managed more by the city than it was the commission members.
Or should you maybe mention specifically the original intent
Sure.
of Mary Jo as project
Yep.
manager? And not just the commission.
Because that also recognizes the number of hours that the city had to work, but it also recognizes that Mary Jo was no longer part of that group. And so I think that's appropriate.
That also pulls in the part we missed from successes from Mary Jo's
Yep.
version.
In conclusion, further projects related to CLG grants will be evaluated on resource availability from both the city, outside employment, and commission members. How'd
Sounds
that
good.
work? Can by chance read that back? Anybody?
What was the last part you said? Evaluated by city resources that are available?
Employment
Employment,
and something about managing
City and commission resources.
city and
Yeah.
commission resources.
hiring practices, or
I'll get back to you now. Mr. Upley said due to HR protocols, and due to HR protocols, the expectations of management and how students would be hired were unclear and their two managed differently. Due to these conflicts, the outcome of the project was managed more by the city rather than the commission and the project manager. In conclusion, for the projects related to CLG grants, there will be evaluations on city and commission resources. Doesn't tell me that last line is.
repeat it again, and I'll finish it.
In conclusion, for the projects related to CLG grants, there will be evaluation
From city resources, commission resources, and hiring practices. And I would say add her name back into it. That was the one. I didn't. Yeah. Yep. And then I asked, does that meet the needs of the city, and does that meet your needs for a summary? Your personal, like, do you feel that word is worded well enough? Knowing that there's an opportunity to do a letter or do something differently.
I'm not planning to write a letter.
Yeah.
So, this, what comes from the commission on this is it.
Okay.
Pretty sure I'm not. I appreciate Susan's suggestion, but again, I don't feel it since the commission knows the circumstances, even though I was pretty strong in my language. I think I just don't see that I should be a separate voice.
Okay.
On it, that as far as going forward, and yeah, I mean, I think it's a good learning.
Yeah, it is. I agree.
So
I would just say, if you look at the challenges and the way I wrote it, I think it summarizes a little bit more information. And you might want to look at that again and see if you do want to replace that with something else.
I leave that to the commission, if you guys, how you feel. And maybe we have that read again and vote.
Why don't we have it read aloud again, and then we vote on the challenges and the successes. Yes, I think that sounds good.
Mr. Upley said, due to human resources protocols, the expectations of management and how students would be hired was unclear. The project would be managed differently. Due to these conflicts, the outcome of the project was managed more by the city rather than the commission and Mary Jo Linder, project manager. In conclusion, for the projects related to CLG grants, there will be evaluations from the city, the commission, and
Did you say for the projects or further projects?
in conclusion, for the projects related to CLG grants, there will be evaluations from the city, the commission, project engineering plan.
Can I suggest we say future
Thank you.
projects? Let's get future in there.
Yep.
Future projects?
And then I would suggest, this is my opinion, is having that be a second bullet point underneath challenges, just adding to what we have.
I'm sorry, you say the second bullet point for the future considerations?
No,
No.
What Matt just suggested. We
Okay,
add the word future, and then we add that as a second bullet point under the having access to proper forms, da, 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 da. We just put
Oh.
that as underneath that.
okay.
Because it does in many ways sum up exactly what Eloise had written, just in a slightly different way. We did not foresee we would have to hire the students and the way she said was not anticipated. That's basically saying the same thing. And that's where some of these challenges started, because it had to be hired as student workers that shifted their supervision to city staff.
Mhm.
And that's kind of where the ball started rolling with this, if I understand correctly. So that's why I'm saying it's just, we're adding in beefing up basically the challenges. And so just adding that to what's already here.
so leave the details that she had in the first paragraph, but adding a more summary that kind of hits on the conflicts or might have taken place. Okay.
Is there a motion, or do we need to do a motion for?
I
Okay.
didn't understand that, what you just said about, you weren't talking about still including what Eloise wrote. were you?
Right. So I'm
Same
looking at
with
this like the city has had input on the situation. We've had input on the
Right.
situation. We're putting them together in the same.
Oh, you were sort of explaining, you weren't,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
She's saying leave this, add that.
And then
third
add a
bullet of what I
second.
just wrote.
Right.
Yeah, we can either have it be its own bullet point under challenges or as the second bullet point to the sub. Having access to proper forms, the SHPO did cause a delay. Well, okay, so maybe we have it be its own second bullet point, but
Yeah, I would think. The forms part needs to be a separate bullet point.
true. Yep. So let's not worry about, let's just have it be its own.
I would,
I can attest, that was a pain in the ass. So that needs to be there.
I might
Yes.
suggest if we do that, I like that. But when it comes to the very first paragraph, leave it on hands-on learning experience for one of the two students. Historic preservation was achieved, period. And then it was likely future surveys, different things, because that's repeated down there at the bottom. So we're just repeating ourselves. So just cut that sentence out because we're saying it again. It's going to be evaluated.
Mhm.
But I agree. It's a good combination.
That would have both sets of comments.
Does that work with you, Edith?
So do we have a motion to accept the rewrite of the challenges and successes in the CLG report as amended here as read to us. Do we have a motion to
I'll make the motion.
second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Just get on with it. Let's vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 No? I think I should abstain since it's,
Okay,
I also
Understand.
abstained.
okay. Two abstentions?
Do you have enough?
And Does that, we'll have to rely on Laura then to provide the staff with the wording there.
All right, I think we're on 18.
Yes, we are on 18 of the work program.
And so Mary Jo already mentioned that we needed to add the educational opportunity that she attended in the first part under educate the public. Oh, that's the public. Is that where you wanted to add it?
I think that's where I first thought, and then I thought it should be under
Because,
the successes. So under 9.
oh, under 9.
Uh-huh, yeah.
Okay.
Just add them to additionally?
Pardon me?
Add them to the additionally?
Yes.
Add that as additional successes, yeah.
Okay.
Thanks, Matt. Thinking.
So this section is talking about the work plan for 2022 and the categories that were there, and then the assessment of the progress of those items. So there's the educate the public, promote the economic development, enhance municipal policies, and continue to use the Ames Comprehensive Historic Preservation Plan. Does anybody,
It'd be 2022.
no, this is the assessment of last
Oh,
year's
okay,
work
that's
plan.
assessment last year.
Yeah,
Okay,
this is-
Yep, I got you.
What we did.
So any changes under the first part, educate the public as far as assessment of the progress?
Can't think of anything. Have we left anything out, guys? No. Okay, how about the economic development?
All right,
Mhm.
municipal policies and the comprehensive preservation plan. So it seems like everybody's good with those assessments. And the work plan for 2023, as you voted on in December,
Right.
with the one change to the portion about the information sessions and so forth for relating to the Chautauqua Park and Ridgewood community was amended.
And all that goes at the council meeting on the 24th, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So I think we're good if there's no more comment.
Okay, do we need to do any further actions other than
Approve it
approve it?
with those edits.
Yeah. So motion to approve. Forwarding the information to the council. with
Make a
it.
motion.
Okay, second.
I'll second.
All those in favor? Say
Aye.
Aye.
opposed? Okay, so move to send to the council on the 24th.
Okay, good. The next item is the 2023 Awards Recognition Program.
Right.
Every year, we ask the HPC to kick it off and to determine if they want to proceed with the awards program. and open the nominations. You may recall, for some of you who were on the commission back in 2021, that some of the categories were updated at that time, and they're reflected in these materials. Last year, when we opened the nominations, basically the nominations are open for about a month. There's an article that goes in the newspaper, it's in the city's social media. However, we didn't get any nominations. Commission can make nominations, either as a group or individually. Sometimes that's been done. So if you do want to proceed with the awards, that would be something to keep in mind over the next month, that you can make nominations. And in the February meeting, when you come back together, if you want to do it as a group, make a nomination. That's something available. So I guess the question is, how do you want to proceed?
I say we do it. It's one of my favorite things. And I think last year was really slow because it was the COVID year. So there really wasn't a lot of action. I
True.
think we've seen a couple of projects come across this last year that I think will be worthwhile. Couple in your neighborhood work together. But yes, I say that the commission proceeds with the Historic Preservation Awards for 2022.
2023.
23.
Oh, well, I'm thinking like the previous year, like stuff that's happened.
Or 2022.
Sorry.
To be awarded in 20.
2023 for work done during 2022.
So that involves the staff advertising it.
Yes, we advertise it. We put out a press release to the newspaper. We send an email to all the neighborhoods,
Okay.
to the contact person for the neighborhoods to let them know that the nominations are open. I'm not sure that there's much response from that. Some neighborhood leaders will disperse it to their members, and some don't, I don't think. But anyway, we try to let everybody know, and then it also will be pushed out on the city's social media sites.
Yeah. I think it's probably going to be up to the commission to do nominations because we're more aware of what's going on. So I think I would encourage all of us to kind of look for possibilities.
Sounds good.
And a copy of the materials will be on the city's website as well.
Mhm.
So if anybody needs it, you can direct them there. Or they can contact Ray or I, and we can send them a copy. I think we need a motion.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to participate in an awards program, that the commission participate in an awards program. Does that say it right? Or
Yep.
So, is there a
Okay.
second?
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. The next item is just CLG update on the actual submittal of the intensive survey to the state. It was submitted on December 31st, along with the quarterly report that was due for the fourth quarter. The first part here that's under the memo was not submitted to the state. The part that was submitted to the state is the part that is in the box. But that part was included primarily for your purposes to understand the expenditures of effort by HPC and staff that went toward the in-kind amount and so forth. So okay. And this is probably just information. I don't think you have to vote on
I
that.
don't think so. Yeah, this just is the follow-up.
I have not heard back from the state since I submitted it, but they don't usually send you anything saying we received your submit.
Okay. So the next item is commission comments. I have just a little announcement for you all. I was contacted by Deb, and how do you pronounce her last name? The assistant, Deb Schold?
Oh,
Um,
Deb Shillcroft.
Yes. Anyway, they're doing a board meeting, a panel at the library on the 26th of January for all of the different boards and commissions with the city. And so she asked if, as the chair of the Historic Preservation Commission, if I would be on the panel, but they'll have representatives from all of the different boards and commissions there, just to respond to questions for the public, to generate interest in participating in boards for the city. So I encourage, if you are able to go to the library on the 26th, it'll be from, I think, 7 to 8 o'clock. But if you have friends who might want to be members of the commission, this might be an opportunity for them to find out a little bit more. So
26. I didn't get the time.
So,
just a little heads up.
so it's a panel discussion.
It's a panel of city board, people who are on the different city boards and commissions. It's for the general public to, who have interest in maybe participating, to generate interest and membership on boards and commissions, to ask us questions.
Okay.
So it's a good opportunity to meet and greet.
Learn about.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. So anyway, just that's coming up later this month. It's being sponsored by the library, but obviously it's on behalf of the city at large. So anyway, just wanted to let you know. Any other commission comments? Anything else?
I have a comment. For me, I know that this meeting was a little bit more detailed than other meetings that we've had, but I also appreciate that we're still doing the job of what we've been asked to do in any shape or form, whether it's the city or whether it's us. And so I appreciate the dialogue and the outcome. I think that was a good conversation and needed, and glad it came out. The second comment that I would make is you mentioned letters that sometimes come to the commission or different things that come up. And I'm curious why the commission doesn't get to see those and what's the protocol for that? And it's just a question, not a criticism.
The nature of that particular incident was such that it was at the under the control of the person who's sending the letters.
Got it.
So it wasn't, and I think it was just a blast of of information, and May started out dear so and so, but ended up going to a whole different group.
Got it. So it wasn't really for us. It was.
I think it was. Yeah.
I didn't know if there was a protocol or how that works. I just wanted to
It
understand.
did. Normally we'll receive, the staff will receive, and then they'll distribute, to the commission, as a program. But this was controlled entirely by an individual. So
That's all.
that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah, I have a comment.
Sure.
It's just, we didn't have the chapter 31 on the agenda. Hope that gets back on the agenda for discussion.
Okay. That
next-
was another
next meeting.
intense thing. I watched that. I wasn't able to attend the meeting, but I later watched it, and that was another one where you guys really put in a lot of hard work. So, so yes, most definitely we can, because I don't think it's ever been completely.
Well, we're still just discussing issues, I think, and trying to decide what we want to do. So it's kind of a work in progress.
If you do send it out on the next agenda, be sure and remind us what section it will cover, because I sure don't remember it. I could look back, but
Yeah.
I will, because there were some things I think we went over that we wanted to get more discussion on.
Yes.
And to
Yeah.
do a little bit more background. So
that was a good discussion that you, last time.
Okay, any other
Can
commission?
I give an update on History Walk?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so I did get back to the Ames Chamber and agreed that we will have History Walk on May 17th. It's a Wednesday. We're going to be a part of what they're already organizing as 515 week. So we will just be one evening of a long, week-long event.
Okay.
And we had that meeting, and I probably went on vacation and came back, and I haven't had any updates. I haven't heard. I just basically put the ball in their court. Said, "Here's my idea or our idea," you know, and just they're going to do the solicitation for sponsors, et cetera, et cetera. So before the next meeting, if I haven't heard from them, I will get a hold of them and just see if they have any updates for us, because I only have, count them now, 2 more meetings.
I know.
Mm.
So you, as a representative of the commission, it's showed our interest, to the, so is it the chamber that's going to be basically carrying the 515 forward, and then will we still be participating, or? is
Yeah,
the
I think that
History
it's a-
Museum going to be doing the
They
lead?
are absolutely on board. They're
Okay.
gonna get. They're going to provide information to all the interested businesses,
Okay.
and they're going to give them any kind of posters, pictures, what have you, so they can have those on their windows. I said that we would all volunteer if they're looking for people to kind of act as docents,
Right.
something like that. I think that as it gets closer, the plans will gel a little better, and so we'll know what exactly it's going to look. I just basically gave them all these ideas. I want to see a barbershop quartet. I want to see, I want to see a jazz band, and all this stuff. And they were on it. So yeah. So as it gets closer, we'll know how much more involved
Okay.
we would be.
I'm anticipating that, in regards to your question, that we would be listed as one of the sponsors. It would be the Chamber or
Okay.
Downtown Ames and the museum and the commission.
Yep.
And we need to make sure that they remember to include on any publicity, well, in my opinion, that it's Historic Preservation Month.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Because that was the whole point of doing it. in May.
Right.
I've got a
Okay, very
question
good.
about that. Or is the History Walk the only thing on the 17th? Or are there
That's the
multiple
only
things
thing
that
on
day?
the 17th,
Okay.
right? Monday, they got a theme for every night of the week. So Monday's like family night. Oh,
Tuesday's family night. I just
Tuesday's family
we
night,
had
right?
that piece of paper. Monday is actually special deals from the
Oh, that's
businesses.
Special deals, family night. There was going to be like Friday was, I can't remember, but each night of the week was going to have its own theme. Wednesday's our theme.
Wednesday.
Thursday, now this might interest you, beer garden, small scale, live music.
Ooh.
Friday, big bash, Bandshell Park, live music, beer garden, similar to 2022. Tuesday, the family night, inflatables, face painting, balloon artists, kids eat free at restaurants, ? So,
Oh.
and then you see they were without a
Anything
plan for
Wednesday?
Wednesday. So I mean, it
Right. So we just
gelled
segued. It
beautifully.
was just like the right idea at the right month. And they were just like passing papers
Woohoo.
between them. I'm like, oh, Wednesday. So
Okay.
yeah, I thought it would be easy. I thought we could get a better draw. Well, I mean, we waited, right? Do we go along with the, being a part of this much bigger event, or do we try to stand our own in opposition, in some other week during May after they've already had 515? So let's give it a try this way. Doesn't Joey want to do something different next time? Have our own event? We can go.
I
a
think
different
we need to get our feet wet.
Right. And I thought that this was a good way to do it since they're already doing a lot of the legwork.
Right.
So could we these are just thoughts about have that night be celebrate Historic Preservation Month? And if their focus is on family, maybe no.
That was Tuesday night. It was family night.
Okay.
Wednesday was going to be history walk,
Yeah.
where basically we're emphasizing A, the history of our downtown, B, the fact that it just got put on the National Register, that it's Preservation Month. We're kind of like putting a lot of stuff into this one evening.
So I'm wondering, again, this is just kind of my thinking about it. I wonder if there's something we could come up with that would have something for children regarding history and historic architecture.
Well, we had kind of talked about, like in the music walk things, they have a bingo. So it
It
encourages
could be a
people-
scavenger hunt. Kind of thing.
scavenger hunt kind of a thing,
Mhm,
we could always
yeah, pick out
we can
something
have
on
it
a
like-
building. And,
Mhm.
like the great thing about the Warner Brothers cartoons, right? Where you have like, it's supposed to be for kids, but in fact, grown-ups really
Mhm.
enjoy it too. So we can have things aimed at multiple age groups. So
I had this vision. Nobody seemed very excited about it, but we could have a table out maybe there where by the park area, and making history personal. People could write down their own little history stories, their grandmother, their, and so just on a little sticky note and stick it on a board or something.
yeah, these are things that we're probably, as it gets closer, we're really going to
Yeah.
have to brainstorm about what our piece is going to look like. Because now that I work for university museums, I'm going to push them to, be there as well.
Oh, terrific.
And I'm, the Ames History Museum, of course, so there'll be places for kind of a place where each one of us can kind of toot our own horn to.
And just from the downtown area, it's a short walk up to Old Town on the weekend to go for a little stroll at some of the old houses. It's, there's a lot of little segues you can do, to make
Right.
people aware.
Right, because we also talked about not just being Main Street, but Fifth
Right,
Street,
right.
the side streets that that go up and down. So anyway, that's
Okay.
kind of where we are now. And like I said, for our next meeting, I'll make sure that I have another update
Okay.
and keep moving forward.
Thanks, Edie.
Oh, one more question. You had asked, and I don't know if we've had an answer about whether the city publicity department will be able to make the storyboards or photos.
Thought we would maybe wait and see what because I know that the council,
The library.
not the library. Oh my gosh, help me out here. The Ames Chamber was going to go out and look for sponsors. So it could be that their budget's already going to help the Ames History Museum. So I wasn't sure if we just wait till we get closer and see if they need any help. How does that sound?
You mean the posters?
As far as printing posters helping the Ames History Museum cover costs, because they're the ones who are going to provide the information for posters. They had talked about recently doing the what was it called? The storybook
The
walk?
library had done.
The library had done that. And so I don't know.
So it would be reimbursing the chamber?
No.
Probably the museum.
I was under the impression that when the library did the story walk and had the things in each window, that the city, what do you call it?
Oh yeah, the print shop.
Print shop is what I was getting at, not publicity. The city print shop made them.
I checked with our print shop and they're not really set up to do it.
Okay.
Oh, well, good to know.
But I'll have to check to see if we can reimburse the Historic Society for that. But I'll ask.
Okay. Good stuff. So staff comments, are there anything more you'd like to add other than it's getting late in the day?
I don't have anything.
Nope.
Nope,
I don't-
nope.
I don't have-
Not a thing. So do we have a motion to adjourn?
I move adjournment.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Good meeting, guys.